all black people shortlists, all women shortlists. That's exactly, by the way, how Rachel Reeves managed to get into her seat because she was on an all women's shortlist. All black people shortlists, all women shortlists. That's exactly, by the way, how Rachel Reeves managed to get into her seat because she was on an all women's shortlist. The only way Labour, as you rightly said, who preach about DEI and diversity, can get any women into the party or any ethnic minorities into the party is by having all black people shortlists, all women shortlists. That's exactly, by the way, how Rachel Reeves managed to get into her seat because she was on an all women's shortlist, from what I understand. Not because she had brains, not because she was a fantastic speaker or led people to vote for her. She was on a shortlist that made sure she managed to get into Parliament. And at least the Tory party, God knows it's in the doldrums, but at least the women in there have the brains, the political knowledge, the nous, the life experience to actually get some people to vote for them and get there on their own merits. And it's actually very, very patronising to women. I don't care what colour skin you are. It's very patronising to anybody to say, well, we have to get a diverse candidate now to be our next leader. So what we're going to do is put you on a shortlist with a lot of other black people, and we're going to make sure that one of you can be leader. How patronising, is that? It's ridiculous.
We've seen where this goes. You remember a couple of weeks ago, there was a DEI hire, New Zealand Navy captain. Yes. And what did she do? She sank the ship. And that's what happens when you get DEI politicians. They sink the ship. Look what happened to Humza Useless in the SNP when he was first minister. Look at the black guy who was running the Welsh Labour government. He lasted 2 months. When you take in a DEI hire, you might get some good headlines, but they all fail when they're tested. And an MP is tested several times a day.
Yeah, exactly. That woman, by the way, in New Zealand, she'd served in the Royal Navy first, I think since 1993 or something like that. She in total, she'd been in both navies about best part of 30 years. And if she hadn't managed to progress in the Royal Navy, then there's a reason for that, isn't there? She was not fit to control that ship. But politics is a different game, I suppose. But, I mean, defence should be completely separate, but obviously in New Zealand it's not. But yeah, you look at Vaughan Geffin, and that was the guy from Wales, wasn't it? You look at people like that, and the guy didn't have a brain cell in his head anyway. You could see that during the virus that went around a few years ago. He was in charge of health then. The guy didn't know the first thing about health. He was just talking absolute rubbish the whole time. And Humza Yousaf, it's well known that in Scotland he was put in the party, personally selected to join the party. Again, not because he was a great politician or anything. I can't remember what his job was now. It wasn't anything I think he worked in a call centre before he got into politics. But the SNP groomed him and they wanted somebody who looked diverse to go into the party. And you're absolutely right. He only got the job as First Minister, beaten by a far better candidate, a far more credible candidate in Kate Forbes, because they wanted an ethnic minority leader at the top of the party to make them look good. And it was a complete and utter calamity from start to finish. And that's what will happen with Labour. Whoever takes over, it doesn't really matter. They will be a calamity if they aren't allowed to get there on their own merit.
Do you remember the video of Hamza Useless when he came out of the NHS? He'd had something wrong with his leg, and they'd given him a specially adapted scooter that you push, and he was showing off to the press and fell on his face.
Yeah.
That's the level of this man, that he can't even use an NHS scooter to push himself along because he had his leg bandaged up or something like that. The man is an idiot. And we've seen the video of when he was going on about the milk in my fridge is white, the rice in my cupboard is white. And he came across as a nasty piece of work, anti-white, racist. And I actually think he is.
He is. He is absolutely a racist. If I stood up in Holyrood or Westminster and gave a speech like that about black people, I'd be run out of town. I'd probably get arrested for hate speech. But for some reason, it was okay for him to say those things. And you'd probably get away with it down here as well in Westminster if you wanted to, give an anti-white rant, anti-white speech. You'd easily get away with it. That's how pathetic our system has become when you live in a country that's about 86% white and you're allowed to be racist towards those people blatantly on camera like that. And is it any wonder the guy was never going to win a Scottish election? And you've got people out down here, by the way. You've got Dawn Butler in the Labour Party, complete out and out racist, and she doesn't even try to hide the fact. And what's even crazier is because she's in London and it's full of absolute turds, there will be white people who vote for her. That's the kind of people who live in London these days. It's absolutely mental place. I'm so glad that I thank God every day I was born in Northern, I tell you.